Welcome to this DaVinci Resolve Fusion node breakdown. Today's node is the film grain node. If we jump into Fusion, we can see we've got our setup from yesterday's node, which was the remove noise node. Because as a reminder, basically what we did is combined two different footages. We took this and combined them together. And since both of them had different types of noise, the first thing we want to do is remove the noise. Plus this helps in any VFX stuff we're doing, because if we're adding VFX without noise, adding it to media with noise and then adding grain to everything just compounds that noise, and it's extremely unrealistic. So we want to start from a clean slate when it comes to grain and noise. Now once we finish all of our VFX work and our compositing and everything, we want to reintroduce grain. And with that, we will use the film grain node. Now, Fusion does have another node called the grain node, but this is just basically an older version of the film grain, and it's only here for legacy purposes. So if you have old projects that you use, the grain node is still there, but the film grain is the updated version of grain. So we're going to delete this and we're going to add our film grain. Now obviously the film grain node adds generated film grain to an image, but how it adds noise is on a layer basis, which is where this complexity comes in. So if we have, and I'm going to zoom in here so you can see what's going on. And I know this might be difficult to kind of see some of this grain and noise on the YouTube compression, but I'll try to get in there so you can see. Now the complexity, if we have it down to 1, that means it's just doing one layer of grain. If we have it up to 4, it's going to have 4 layers of grain. So that's what the complexity is. How many layers of grain you're actually compounding on top of each other. Now this alpha multiply, what this does is it ensures if you happen to have any images that have transparencies in them, which this image does not, but if you do have images with transparencies, it's going to add an alpha multiply. So anything, let's pretend this black was actually transparent, it wouldn't add grain to that portion. It would alpha multiply it so it was out. Otherwise, if we had it unchecked, even if this was transparent, we would have grain going across the entire transparent parts of the image. Log processing, what this does is this mimics real film processing. Because in real film, we actually have more noise and grain on the white colored light areas than we do blacks. So if we uncheck this log processing, you can see it just evenly added that noise across everything. But in reality, with real film, it doesn't look like that. We have more noise in the lights than we do the darks. So that's what this log processing does. The random seed just randomizes the seed of the noise. If we time lock, if you see right now, our noise is actually animated and the seed is receding with every frame. If we time lock, the noise is just going to stay stagnant and not move. For your monochrome, if we uncheck this, we can individually change the colors of the grain, or we can have monochrome grain. For your lock size, we can change the size of the grain on the X and Y axis independently, or if we lock it, it changes it evenly. Your strength is just the strength of the grain. And I'll leave this up so we can see our roughness. What our roughness does is it changes the actual roughness and clumps our grain together. And this offset, what this offset does is it changes how it interacts with the lights and the darks. So if I bring it up, you can see it's getting more even in the blacks than it is the whites. If I bring it down, it's adding less to the blacks. And in the middle is your average. So let's zoom out and get something fairly realistic here. And there we go. We have added grain back into our denoised / degrained footage to our final composite. So that is the film grain node. I will see you in the next node breakdown.